He killed people, so I'm about to be rude, bro. Listen, bro, look like he got some good echolocation. Cayetano, the 9-year-old serial killer. If you kill 5 people by the time you're 9 and they're all intentional, listen, you get tried as an adult, listen, at that point, you're cooked.
Cayetano Gordino became the youngest serial killer in world history at just 9 years old. With 4 victims and 7 more attempts.
Listen, he killed people, so I'm about to be rude, bro. Listen, bro, look like he got some good echolocation. Yo, bro's up there with the bats. He can sense things. He knows exactly what's happening. He closes his eyes and be like, over here, over here. I mean, he got good echolocation, and I don't feel guilty saying that because you might be 9, but you killed 5 people. Okay, all I did was kill your genetics a little bit with my words. Like I gave you a little slap on the wrist.
Attempted murder cases to his name. How did this tiny boy pull it off?
Like, bro, like he got a bulky hat and they still sticking out. Like there's space right here. That's crazy. That's crazy. If he stood on one of those street vents, okay, instead of looking like Marilyn Monroe where she had a little skirt popping up, he would start levitating. He would start flying. He'd be like one of those spinny caps. He'd start floating.
It began when he lit buildings on fire because, according to him, it's nice to see firemen fall into the fire. Authorities...
Huh? He probably started killing people because of them ears. Yeah, he was guilty. And anyone that had normal ears, he was like, I got to get you out of here.
Just said
my thing is, how you killing people with a gun in your ears? This like that. How are you not deaf? The ring from them gunshots got to go crazy.
Home. The unpunished crime ignited a 7-year murder spree. This is the case of Cayetano Gordino.
Hey, listen, Cayetano, if you still alive, I said nothing about your ears, bro. Okay, honestly, I wish I could hear as well as you. I have tinnitus. Okay, I can't even hear for real.
Santos Gordino's story begins in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was born into a large family, one of 8 children. His parents, Fiore Gordino and Lucia Ruffo, were Italian immigrants. They came to Argentina seeking a better life. Cayetano's father soon succumbed to alcoholism and became known for his violent temper and iron fists. Lucia, Cayetano's mother, also lived in fear of her husband and could not protect herself.
Oh, so the father was the issue. He has like severe daddy issues. Like maybe listen, not only should you be mad at your dad for giving you those ass ears, okay? But you should also be mad at your dad for failing you in terms of the way he raised you. You got failed genetically and spiritually. Like, damn.
Herself or her children from harm. In this environment, young Cayetano grew up witnessing and experiencing violence firsthand. Cayetano also suffered from significant health issues. His father had contracted syphilis before Cayetano was born, which led to serious health issues during his childhood. Later in his life, a doctor's examination would reveal 27 scars on his head alone. He claimed that each of these scars was a result of beating from his alcoholic brother and father. From a young age, Cayetano...
Like, I feel bad. I do. But also, like, killing that many people, like, my empathy, it starts to run out. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, the reason I don't have empathy for people that do stuff like this when they're traumatized is I don't really talk about stuff that's happened to me because I don't want to make y'all sad, and also I don't want to air my stuff out. The more I tell you, the more you can use against me. I've been in some crazy situations that are like equivalent to certain things that have been displayed in like these cases where people are doing crazy stuff or murdering people because they had a rough upbringing, and I never did any of this shit. So what I'm saying is, to a certain extent, I do believe it is a choice. To a certain extent, okay? Not in every situation. There are definitely some habits that you have to work on, but if you choose to go down this road instead of the other one, I do think it is a choice to a certain extent. I really do. Like, within reason, because I've had a lot of stuff happen to me that was crazy, and I have not done anything even equivalent to this. I haven't even like randomly assaulted someone on the street before. Okay, like I haven't even done that. You killing people? Stop. That's what I'm saying. My empathy, it's there, but it runs out because you definitely had opportunity in certain places to not do certain things.
Began to exhibit deeply concerning behavior. He found pleasure in killing small animals, and he was mesmerized by the destructive beauty of fire. His fascination with violence and general disinterest in education led him to move from school to school.
But also, I wasn't a psychopath, so I don't really know. You know, that does change things. But technically, you can develop like sociopathy depending on like traumatic stuff. I just think I like didn't. You know, sometimes I think it'd be a little bit easier if I did. That's not crazy. Not to an extreme level where I'm like killing animals, but like where I like can emotionally detach easier.
Despite all the schools he went to, he was never taught how to read. Cayetano was also severely bullied. His big ears, small stature, combined with his odd proportions, as well as...
Listen, I'm only bullying you after you kill someone, okay? I wasn't pre-ear bullying, all right? You're not gonna make me feel guilty, video. You're not gonna make me feel guilty.
His inability to read and write made him a target among his peers.
Also, I got bullied too, and I didn't kill anyone. No, I don't feel bad at all, okay? I don't feel bad at all.
An exclusion from other children his age was constant, adding to his sense of isolation and encouraging
Okay, you wanna know what I did? I drew in my notebook. I wasn't stabbing animals.
To spend much more time with younger children. And since most grown-ups overlooked him, he had no problem gaining the trust of little ones with the promise of play or candy in the future. In 1904, at just 8 years old, he committed his first known assault. Miguel de Paoli, a toddler who wasn't yet 2 years old. Cayetano dragged Miguel into a field where he brutally assaulted him and then callously threw him into a patch of bushes. A policeman passing by
Damn. You see the part where I said that my empathy runs out? It's because of stuff like this. Like, I don't feel bad for this kid at all anymore. Like, I'm sorry. No, I don't care. What? I've been in that situation, but instead of being the 8-year-old beating up a 2-year-old, I was the 8-year-old getting beaten up by a senior in high school, okay? And you want to know why I got beat up by this kid and dragged around and thrown and kicked? Because I called him a bitch one time, okay? Once. After he was already being kind of rude to me the whole day, all right? So it's like, empathy card revoked. What the hell? And then I had my head kicked in by like multiple people too after that. And like my body kicked, like as I was like passing out on the so no, I don't feel bad for you.
Witness the shocking scene.
Cayetano, okay, I hope you float with them big ass ears.
He took both children to the police station, where their anxious mothers later picked them up. There was no follow-up. The following year, Cayetano attempted to kill an 18-month girl named Anna by
18 months?
Throwing stones at her. A police officer also witnessed this incident and took Cayetano and Anna to the police station. Due to
like the worst thing I did to a kid when I was younger is I was like 3 and this little girl was like 3 and I threw sand in her face because I was curious what would happen. Okay, like that's it. Stoning kids when you're 9?
Age, Cayetano was again released. In 1906, at just 9 years old, Cayetano committed his first murder. Gordino tried to choke Maria Rosa, but found that he was too physically weak to end her life on his own. When she didn't die, he did something unspeakable. He buried her alive, hiding her body under some cans. Although her parents filed a missing persons report, authorities had no idea about Maria Rosa's fate until
he buried her alive? God didn't do you dirty enough with them ears. I'm just saying, he did not do you dirty enough. He should have done you a lot dirtier, okay? Like, he should have given you like a micro too, okay? And like neuralgia and some chronic health conditions. Cause like, what the hell? Nah, you deserved a little bit worse.
Cayetano's later confession. The police did attempt to retrieve her body once they learned of the murder, but found that a 2-story home had been built over her bones the years since her death. At the time, there was a law banning people from pleasuring themselves in the privacy of their own homes. As invasive as that was, Cayetano's parents used this law as an excuse to get the police to take him off their hands for a few months, claiming that they caught him in the act. He returned home from the facility.
Reporting your kid for that is crazy, but honestly, if they killed someone, like, you know what? At that point, hey, I gave birth to you, but I gave birth to a hellspawn. Okay, this is the devil. So you know what? Take him away.
Being kept in and seemed to lay low for the next few years. But On September 9, 1908, he went back to his pattern of violence. Cayetano convinced Severino Gonzalez, age 2, to go with him with the promise of candy and treats. He lured the 2-year-old into an abandoned warehouse, where he proceeded to drown the little boy in a horse trough. The owner of the building happened to be nearby, and he heard a struggle. He found the 2 boys, both wet, with the little one half dead in the large trough. But Cayetano talked his way out of it by claiming a mysterious woman in black had been there. According to Cayetano's story, he had gotten there in the nick of time, scared off the violent woman, and saved the toddler from certain death. The police were called, and he gave them the same story. They seemed to believe him, and they let him go. Then, 6 days later, he burned the eyelids off a 22-month-old with a cigarette.
How your ears so big but you couldn't echolocate some common sense, some common decency, some empathy? You can hear everything in the damn world, but you can't hear the screams of a kid and think, hey, maybe this is wrong. I know you heard that with them big ass ears. Okay, you got like satellite dishes on the side of your head. You heard that. I hope you burn, get reincarnated, burn again, and keep burning.
The screams of the child brought his mother running, but Cayetano took off and was gone by the time the mother reached the child. He was never officially caught, but rumors began to spread about his involvement with the random acts of violence toward toddlers in the area. At this point, his parents had had enough. They didn't believe his stories about the mysterious woman in black going around terrorizing small children, and they had previously found a small box underneath Cayetano's bed full of dead family pets. So they brought him to the police station and begged them to help.
Like, what motivates you to do this sort of thing?
The authorities sent him to the colony of Smaller Peace, where he endured brutal physical punishment and had to go through hard labor for 3 years. He came home just in time for Christmas on December 23rd, 1911. He had just turned 15. Although his father had found him a job, in less than 3 months he had lost it and was trolling the streets again. Because of his excellent knowledge of the city, he knew all the locations of deserted land and buildings. So he knew where to take all of his victims before he even got his hands on them. He began drinking, and with drinking came extreme headaches, with an urge for violence. On January 17, 1912, Gordino set a warehouse on Corrientes Street ablaze. It was when he was being questioned about this crime that Gordino said his infamous quote, "I like to see firemen working. It's nice to see how they fall into the fire." But Gordino's crime spree didn't stop with arson.
I hope hell is hot, and I hope you burn in that bitch indefinitely, okay? You know, like the flame, the black flame from Naruto that burns and never stops? I hope that's you.
Less than a week later, the body of a 13-year-old boy named Arturo Aurora was found dead in an empty house. He was beaten, half naked, and with a cord tied around his neck. The police had no clue what kind of monster could have done something like that. The case went cold until Gordino later confessed to the crime. He claimed to have taken Arturo to an empty house and covered his mouth with a handkerchief after tying him up. He proceeded to whip him with a branch from a fig tree. When he grew tired of that, he strangled him and left. March 7th of the same year, Raina Vanikov.
And it's all children too. Like, he's exclusively harming kids. Like, defenseless kids.
5 years old.
How do they not know, bro? This was like in the 1900s, bro. They didn't have like forensic evidence and stuff. Like,
shoes in a storefront window when she began to scream. Someone had set her dress on fire. A policeman nearby threw the little girl to the ground and tried to kill the fire with his own body, but she was already severely burnt. Raina was rushed to the hospital, where she died 16 days later. Allegedly, Cayetano was there in the crowd, watching everything unfold. 8 months later, he tried to claim another victim, a 2-year-old named Russo Roberts.
like, they're all kids!
Using his typical method of luring away toddlers. He took him to a warehouse and tied his feet together with a rope, which he used as a belt for his trousers. Before he could end Robert's life, a farmer nearby noticed what was going on and interrupted. The police were called, And since they had no concrete evidence, they had to let him go. But the police were keeping an eye on him now. They grew very suspicious of being called the crime scene.
Just now. Just now. You just now keep an eye on him.
And his explanations about how he was there at that exact moment when the kids in question needed his help. Because of each child's age, they couldn't get the real story. All they could do was watch and wait for him to slip up. On the morning of December 3rd, 1912, Mrs. Maria Giordano, a neighbor of the Gordinos, told her son that he could go outside and play. She needed to do some chores. So she reached for the red ball lying next to the front door and told him that if he would stay on the path, he could play outdoors. This was the last time she would see her son alive. Her son was named Gesualdo, and he was just 3 years old. Cayetano had spent his morning being yelled at by his father. As he plunged out the door into the cloudy day, he saw 3-year-old Gesualdo playing ball with the other kids around the neighborhood. And he knew what he wanted to do. He blended in with the other kids on the block and lured little Gesualdo to come with him. They left, hand in hand, and eventually stopped at the general store for the promised sweets. According to Cayetano, he gave the boy a little piece of candy with the promise of more to eat later, and led him to an empty construction site. As they approached the entrance, the little boy was frightened and began to put up a struggle. But Cayetano was stronger, so he picked up the small boy, carried him through the doorway, and plopped him next to the furnace.
Yo, Cayetano, you in hell listening to me with your ugly looking ass. I hope the devil, okay, I hope this is what he does. I hope he hooks like fishing hooks, okay, onto your ears, like meat hangers. Hangs you by each ear, okay, and has you slowly burning indefinitely, forever, until eternity. So not only will you be reminded of your big ass ears and be hanging by your big ass ears, but you will also be feeling pain.
To keep the child in place, he put his knees across the child's chest while reaching for some discarded rope that the workers in the building had tossed to the side. He wrapped the rope around Gesualdo's throat 13 times before attempting to strangle him. The child fought for his life and tried to stand up. So Cayetano quickly tied the child's hands and feet, but he grew tired from the effort and left the building to look around for weapons. As he looked around, someone called out to him. It was Mr. Giordano, his young victim's father, looking for his missing child. Cayetano quickly tried to lie and get Mr. Giordano to leave the area, claiming that he had not seen young Gesualdo,
I hope he finds Gesualdo.
That the police should be contacted. So Giordano left, and Cayetano grabbed a brick and nail and headed to finish what he had started. He lifted the brick as a hammer and drove the nail directly through the forehead of the dying boy. He looked at his handiwork for just a moment and covered his final victim with a piece of tin before running home. When Mr. Giordano called the police, there was a witness this time to help him, and the police tied Cayetano to the crime. When Cayetano and Gesualdo had gone to the convenience store to buy candy, a woman working the cash register in the store took notice. When she later described the features of the strange boy.
Yeah, yo. Hey, yeah, no, so we found the boy with them big ass elf ears, the fucking satellite dishes. Yeah, he got candy with the kid. Yeah, the satellite ears, yeah, we found him. Like, yo, considering how identifiable this dumbass was, I can't believe it took this long.
With big ears and oddly long arms, walking around with little Gesualdo, Mr. Giordano immediately knew where his son was. He led police back to the building where he had spoken earlier with Cayetano. Mr. Giordano was the first to find the body of his son. The women of the community laid out Gesualdo's little body on a table in one of the rooms of his house. Many neighbors, friends, and loved ones came to pay their respects and to wait with the mourning parents. The police set up outposts around the victim's house that night, waiting and watching to see who came by. But Cayetano was used to blending in with the crowds as he stole away and went inside to see his victim again. According to Cayetano's confession,
visited the dying kid on the table?
he went up to where they had laid the child. Then he went closer and, with his hand, pulled the face to see whether they had left the nail in his victim's head. He became very upset to see it gone. Early the next morning, the police surrounded his house and arrested Cayetano without any problems at all. Cayetano talked for many hours, eagerly telling them everything that he had done. They also found a newspaper article in his pocket. He had bought the newspaper the day before and cut the article out so he could look at it whenever he wanted. His sister also